Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon everyone who's watching and listening. My name is Kenny Bomer. This is Consider This TV, where truth is made clear from falsehood. And I am the author of the book, Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda. And the forthcoming book, Everything is a Test, Truth is Made Clear from Falsehood. And guess what? I was on mute. Alhamdulillah. So I brought myself into the broadcast. I was on mute. So everyone out there have a big laugh about that. Alhamdulillah. So I spoke for about 3 minutes, I'm sure, while on mute. So alhamdulillah. So we're back in action now. So once again, this is Sunday Sound Off, where we're allowing people to come onto the platform to speak for 5 minutes straight, while we just sit back and listen and then respond. So you can come on and tell us how much you love us, how much you hate us. You can talk about politics. You can talk about Islam. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about 5 minutes straight. The mic will be yours. The only requirement is if you join the panel, because we've had some people come on and pull all kinds of shenanigans a couple of weeks ago. The requirement is that when you join the platform, you'll have to turn your camera on in order to engage in the conversation. I realize that some people aren't comfortable with doing that, but we need to make sure that people aren't trying to just come on and we want to try to avoid all the trolls that we can. We've had people come on and do all kinds of different things that we would rather not see or experience. So the requirement is for the Sunday Sound Off for you to come on and turn your camera on. We need to see who we're talking to. We don't want you to be anonymous. So when you come on to the platform, I'll be able to see you backstage ahead of time. So as long as I see your face, I'll bring you into the stream, and you're welcome to say anything you like for 5 minutes straight. And once again, you can talk about anything you want to. If you want to take the full 5 minutes, you don't have to take the full 5 minutes, but if you want to, you're welcome to do that. So with that being said, assalamu alaikum, brother Kareem. Welcome to the platform. Brother Kareem Ubaidullah, he is the co-host for the show, and maybe he stepped away right now. He's got to unmute himself. If he's listening right now, he's got to unmute yourself. But he'll be on. We'll have some other people on as the show progresses. There's a lot of stuff happening, obviously, in the world. Obviously, if you're in the United States and you're aware of the situation with George Floyd, I actually went to a protest yesterday. Was it yesterday? Friday, rather. Went to the protest Friday, and it was very interesting out there. There was some people out there that was protesting peacefully. I was one of those people protesting peacefully, but there were some people that were seemed to be trying to instigate violence and destruction. And obviously we see that there's a lot of that transpiring right now in different cities throughout the nation. And I totally disagree with that. I understand people's frustration, but also I think there's people that are looking for the opportunity just to engage in different types of violence and things that they just looking for an excuse with some people. And also we have to realize that there are people who have been planted in order to instigate. Matter of fact, I think I come across one of those people whenever I was at the protest here in Houston, downtown Houston on Friday. There was a lady behind me, and she was basically yelling out. She was saying some of the stuff she was saying was great. We're all the same. It doesn't matter your skin color. Everyone's the same. But then she started, after a while, she started saying, "Why are we just standing here?" We were standing out in front of protesting in front of City Hall, and she started saying, "Why are we just standing here? We need to march to the Galleria," which is, I don't know, maybe 5 miles away. I may be guessing about that, but I think about 5 miles away. March to the Galleria and tear up the Galleria, which I thought was a very odd thing to say. Obviously, the Galleria has nothing to do with the George Floyd death. Business owners and destroying property and things of that nature is just absurd. So there are people that are trying to instigate those things. Also, I seen out there at the protest, I seen a guy come up. He was actually behind me at some point, and he had an AK-47. He was a white guy that had an AK-47. He was completely covered. He had goggles on, and people did not like him being there at the protest. They started redirecting their aggravation towards him because he had this AK-47. And with all the mass shootings that have taken place in the United States, obviously that was a very unwise thing to do. So for a period of time there, I was about 5 or 6 feet away from him, and I thought, if I see this guy reach for his weapon in any threatening way whatsoever, I'm going straight to him. I was gonna attack him. But at the same time, I was watching his body language, and I think he was just simply there to protest. Here in Texas, we have a right to carry law, so people can, as long as the weapon is exposed out in the open, people can carry their weapon out in the open. But so I was watching his body language, and so at one point I was concerned that maybe he might try to do something, so I was going to go to him if that was the case. But then after watching his body language, it seemed that he was just simply there, part of the protest. And so there was also a point there that I thought I might have to defend him, which I certainly would have done. I would have stepped in front of him if need be. But obviously, I'm far outnumbered. There's thousands of people there, probably close to 10,000 people, I would guess. Between 5 and 10,000 for sure, but probably around 10,000, I would assume. But the police came. I seen one lady that was with him was dragged down the road by a police golf cart. Started getting out of hand. People started. There was some tear gas that was utilized. Officers on horseback came in, and it got a little bit rough out there. And so at that point, I tried to distance myself from that type of activity. I'm there to protest and remember the life of George Floyd, obviously, and not there to cause destruction or cause any kind of violence. So I'm certainly against that. So, Brother Marshall Gregory and Brother Kareem, assalamu alaikum. Make sure you, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah. So I was talking about the George Floyd. I do want to stop right here, and I want to say that I do bear witness that there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, is the final servant, the seal of all prophets. I actually spoke, brother, when I came on initially. I spoke for about 3 minutes, thinking that my mic was off of mute, and so I'm sure people got a kick out of that. I was sitting there talking. So that's anyways. Alhamdulillah. Then I realized my mic was on mute, and I turned my mic on and had to start over completely. Alhamdulillah. So, alhamdulillah, that's how it goes. But so I was talking about the George Floyd and all the protests and rioting that's taking place in many cities throughout the nation, and it's getting very violent. Matter of fact, I just seen in the headlines it was the 6th night of protest, and very interesting situation. But it's so, brother. What do you think about that? I know you've been following that. We talked about a little bit earlier. What do you think about what we've been seeing?
I mean, I personally think what they're doing is all the rioting, all the breaking, looting, burning stuff down. That is wrong, But it's a lot of pinned up anger,
Yeah.
Is what it is, and you got to figure, the civil rights wasn't that long ago,
Yeah.
With the mid-60s, in the mid-60s, it was to, I believe 1965, when Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act in place, so it hasn't been that long ago. So you're talking about one generation,
Right. It's obviously there's a lot of pent up frustration. I did notice, when I'm looking at the videos of the protesters, the people that I'm seeing a lot of people that are probably in their 20s. And I'm not trying to say that they're the only ones committing the violence, whatever, and the destruction, all the vandalism, all those things. But it does seem that it's a lot of the younger people that are doing this. And quite simply, we live in the age of modern technology, obviously, and people are receiving information at a far quicker pace, and being able to organize and get together and organize these things quicker. And as Muslims, that's why I was we got to play the middle ground. Obviously, Allah says in the Quran to fight those who first fight you. Okay, fight those who first fight you, and run them out of places where they have first run you out of, But if at any point they stop their aggression towards you, you stop your aggression so that you never become those who are oppressing. And so obviously we have to play the middle ground as Muslims. And so like I mentioned about the guy that I seen with the AK-47, there was a part of me that's like, okay, I'm watching him because if he goes for this weapon, as a Muslim, I am for sure. I was about 5 or 6 feet away from him. I am going to do whatever I can do to stop this guy. But at the same time, I'm watching his body language. Everyone else is directing their anger towards him, right? They want him out of there. I think it's a very unwise thing for him to do, to bring the weapon to that place where there's thousands of people there protesting. He could, if he had an ill intention, he could have killed many and injured many people in a very, very short period of time. So there was a point there where I was like, okay, if I see this guy go for this weapon in any way, I'm going straight to him, but at the same time, I'm watching his body language. And at one point he just dropped his arms like, look, I'm just here protesting. I'd never heard him say this, but I was watching his body language, and obviously I believe that's what he was saying. And I did hear someone say, he's with us, he's just protesting. And so at that point, I was like, okay, at the same time, I will go to him if I feel like he's becoming a threat, but I'm also going to try to defend him if someone tries to attack him. And he's just there protesting. In Texas, we have a right to carry a law. So as long as your weapon is in plain sight, you can actually walk up and down the street with the weapon, right? And so he's just utilizing his constitutional rights in that regard, but right to bear arms. But so the balance there, as a Muslim, I was thinking, okay, if he acts like he's about to be violent in any way, I'm going to stop him. The same token, if someone tries to attack him unjustly, then I was willing. Matter of fact, at one point I was literally just about to go and stand in front of him and say, "Hey, look, let's slow down here a bit." Of course, I'd have been far outnumbered. They might have directed their animosity towards me at that point, but it's something that I would have done. I sincerely would have done that if it was required. But right around that time when I was thinking that, alhamdulillah, the police came. They actually got him. They took him. I don't know if they arrested him. He didn't really technically break a law because we have the right to carry law. We have he can bear his weapon and all those things. It's just a part of the law here in Texas. So I think their primary, they were trying to accomplish is just get him out of the area. And so, so alhamdulillah, it's we have to balance it out as Muslims. And like I told someone earlier today, Islam is the answer for all of this, because in Islam, Muslims know by the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba. We know that we can't just destroy buildings just for the sake of destroying buildings. We can't destroy livestock and cattle and people's property, and we can't direct aggression towards people that are innocent. So there's some of the police officers that are on the front line. They're just trying to do their job. That's what they're paid to do. And I think there's a very fine line there. Matter of fact, I seen in Flint, Michigan, I seen a headline earlier that said if Flint police officers drop their weapons and join protests today. So I was just talking about this today with Mika and saying, look, sometimes we have to have a balance there and say, all right, I'm a part of this organization, but if this organization is doing some wrong and injustice, then I have to, as a human being, and be willing to say, I don't agree with this. I know I'm a part of this organization, but I'm not agreeing with what's going on here, and remove yourself from that situation. So as Muslims, we know that we have to balance the scales and be utilize be just with people. So yeah, what do you think about all that?
Talk to me or Kareem?
I think Kareem. I'm not sure if Kareem's there, brother. Kareem, are you there right now? It seems he's on the. Maybe he's tied up right now. He did tell me.
As Muslims, you got to take a fine line, because the Muslims, we're supposed to be the peacemakers, first of all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also we're supposed to stand up for the unjust.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And,
right.
But of course, again, the great jihad you can fight is speaking the hawk in front of a tyrant.
That's right.
So, I have mixed views on this being part Native American, Lakota Sioux. This ain't nothing new, what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I keep my political views to myself,
Yeah.
But, to be out there destroying stuff, it's not right, you know what I mean?
No,
What
it's
right
not.
do you have, what right do you have to go destroy someone else's small business? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They have no part in this. You know what I'm saying? They're just
Right.
trying to provide for the family. They're just provide a living, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's a sign. It's a sign of people that just simply are just lost and out of control because, like Brother Mukit Khan says, many are looting and violently protesting by using the George Floyd's murder as an excuse to appease their desires. Absolutely, I totally agree 100%. There's people out there that are just simply using this as an excuse to just, for anarchy and chaos. And it's uh, an ugly reality. It's an ugly sign in our society, but it also demonstrates, there's so many. It's a very complex issue because on one end, we know that there's been many injustices enacted in the United States against people of color and minorities, and the targets against the Muslims, and labeling people, and there's always, matter of fact, that's what I'm talking about in the book. I'm not just talking about injustices against Islam. Obviously, I'm building my case in the book regarding Islam, but what I'm doing in the book, Consider Islam, Disproving the Patriots of Propaganda, is I'm talking about how throughout the history of the United States in particular, and not just the United States, it happens all over, but they point out and they target a particular group and make this group the enemy. So now it's us over here versus them over there. We're the good guys. God is with us. We're fighting for a just cause, and God's on our side. Those people are the bad guys. So and so people, it instills a sense of patriotism in the people, and they start fighting for that cause. So that's fine if you're truly standing up against an injustice, but there's got to be a limit there. So that's why Allah says in the Quran, fight those who first fight you, run them out of places they run you out of. But if they stop their aggression, then you stop your aggression towards them, so that you never become those who are oppressing. So at this point, innocent business owners, and some of the police, maybe they're matter of fact, I seen stuff being hurled at the police, and I'm thinking, this is wrong. That you can't. These people they have families. They're trying to do their job. This is what they do. Maybe they're good police officers. Maybe they're not. But one thing's for certain: we can't just start attacking people just because Joe Blow did it beside you. Now I'm going to start doing it. Now he does it, and Sally does it, and Eddie does it, and Jerome does it, and Michael does. I mean, come on. There's got to be a boundary there, and Islam sets that boundary. Islam is the answer for every one of these things that we're seeing. Islam is indeed the answer for it. Alhamdulillah. Brother Abu Yazid, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum to everyone in the chat.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining the show, brother. What do you have to say about this George Floyd thing? And obviously he was unjustly killed. There's no question about that. I cannot stand the fact that I've seen this officer in the videos that I've seen actually looking like he's just looking down at him. Just, I don't know, like he's reveling in it or something. I don't know. And then I seen another picture earlier today where there's actually two more around the corner from this shot right here that we're looking at on the screen. There's actually two more officers on him as well. So this officer had his knee on his neck, and then there's two more officers on him. So with that being said, obviously this is wrong, but the violence and the protests and the destruction of property, graffiti and vandalism, all those things, I mean, that's out of control. What do you think about this, brother?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can look at the video and not see that something is terrible and horrible. Seeing, when I saw it, I honestly started crying. But unfortunately, you have individuals. I seen a screenshot of the individual who made a joke about it, like another one down, 30 million to go, or something like that. You know,
Who made that?
I don't know who the person is. A
Oh.
screenshot from someone on social media making that statement.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So this is what you're seeing. The reaction you're seeing is, first of all, the reaction is a lot of different things. There are a lot of different groups of people who are out here right now in these different cities, and everybody doesn't necessarily have the same agenda. That's one thing. Number two, that as horrible as this is, think about all the other times this has happened and there wasn't video coverage.
Right. Yeah.
Think about the times this has happened and there was video coverage and the video coverage was covered up or it never made it to the media.
Yeah.
This happens more than people seem to. This is not an isolated thing.
No,
remember, Orlando Castillo was killed in the same place just a few years ago. And never had a license to carry a gun. He informed the police officer he had a license to carry a gun and a concealed weapon, and he still got a whole entire clip unloaded into his body.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, this ex-officer, he had 12 misconduct reports against him already, right?
I'm not sure the number, but I've heard that he had a number of different complaints and misconduct reports.
Yeah, what I found online, it was 12 complaints, and he was sanctioned 3 times from them. So he had a pattern of this. It's nothing new, you know.
But see, the ultimate problem, there's a bigger problem. One big problem is the way that policing is being done. There has to be a fundamental change because the attitude. First of all, you have the idea of officer friendly does not exist for a lot of people in America. If you're Caucasian, you live in the upper class suburbs, then when the police come around, that's officer friendly to you. He's there to protect you. He's there to help you. So of course, you see the officer, you're gun ho about him, blue pride, the whole thing. But for a lot of other people, when they see the police, they're not thinking about officer friendly. They're thinking about someone who could damage me financially, who could ticket me, who can accuse me of something, someone who could abuse me, someone who can take my life.
Yeah.
And for so many years, one segment of America basically brushed that off and said, "Oh, you guys are just exaggerating. You're imagining this is happening, or this is a left-wing plot to make it." And nobody wanted. This is what happens. I'm not justifying. It's not justified at all. But when you don't listen to people, when you refuse to listen to people, and you just tell them to shut up and sit down and let me abuse you, sooner or later, you're going to have situations like this.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying today. I was saying that, all the injustices are coming back to haunt the United States. And, it's nothing against the United States. Obviously, I'm proud to be an American. But also I'm ashamed in a lot of ways because we know that various groups throughout history have been targeted, and blacks have been targeted probably obviously more than anyone. No question about it. And so just like Brother Abu Yazid said, that this is something that happens every day. I have a friend of mine that I grew up with, a Muslim brother, that he has had some issues with the law throughout his life, but he's in prison right now because an officer claimed that he pulled out a box cutter on him while he was. Anyway, it's a long story, but nevertheless, not only are deaths occurring and injuries occurring, but masses of black males are being incarcerated on a mass scale, and it's been like this from the very beginning. And
it's modern day slavery, literally.
Absolutely.
Modern day form of slavery.
And another thing it's a way to suppress the voting rights. Because you get convicted of a felony, you cannot vote no more. Well, some states you can vote again if you're off paper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of my mentors, Abu Bakr, he wrote the prison reentry program, so he knows. So he knows this statistics very well. Actually, he's a good person to come on the show. I should call him, have him come on. He can discuss more about this. But he actually wrote the prison reentry program that's implemented at the highest level of government right now. Strategic plan. But yeah, I mean, this mass incarceration is modern day slavery. It's a way to keep people from voting. You know, I mean, it's a way to take some of the civil rights away.
Yeah, and the thing is, like Brother Abiyazer was getting at, there's got to be a system in place where the police are actually policed. We have to police. And I did see, and I did like seeing the headline today in Flint, Michigan. I haven't read the article, but I just seen the headline, which could be, I mean, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I don't believe all the headlines I see by no means. But I did see a headline for Flint, Michigan that says that the officers there, some of the officers there put down their weapons and actually joined the protests. And so that's what it takes. So I'm so angry about the fact that the officers around him, I've told people this, and I mean this with all of my heart. Wallahi, Allah knows that I mean this with all of my heart, that if I was there in the presence of George Floyd laying there on the ground like that with blood coming out of his nose, with him pleading, saying, please, I cannot breathe. If I was there, I would have no question about it. I would have, Allah knows this, I mean this with all of my heart. I would have tackled that officer. I would have done something to get him off of his throat. No question about it. No question about it. So, but I bring this up because especially if I was another officer there, I'd have been like, hey, partner, fellow officer such and such, officer white supremacist or bigot or whatever you want to, whatever his name is, you're hurting this guy. You know what? He's handcuffed. He's on his stomach. There's 3 officers actually on him, and 2 other officers on him. You've got your knee in his neck. What's wrong with you?
But see, that's the problem. That's what I was saying about the problem of how policing is being done.
Yeah.
So you have the blue shield, which is almost like there's a code within the departments.
Yes.
It's with the local departments, the sheriff, with the state police, with the FBI, even with prison guards, that you're not supposed to snitch on another police officer. You're not, when you see a police officer doing something unethical or illegal, you're supposed to stay quiet and you're supposed to not do anything about it, because you're all, it's almost, we're in the same fraternity, we're in the same organization. So even if you're doing something wrong, I still have to have your back, even if you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and that has to be broken up somehow. This is why you say the police and the police. This is why we never get justice. Even when the police are investigated, their friends help them. Just like we saw it down in Georgia with the ex-police officer and his son who assassinated Ahmaud Marbury. You know, you had there's 2 or 3 different state attorneys refused to press charges against them. It wasn't until
is that the brother that was jogging?
Yes.
So the guys who did it, one guy, you said that it was a former police officer and his son. I mean, yeah. I know it was 2 white guys. I didn't realize that
he was a police officer and an investigator for the state's attorney.
Oh wow.
So they never. The reason they didn't get charged for all those months is because their friends in the police department would not charge them. So you have this extremism, this idea of this brotherhood, where even if I know you're doing something wrong, I see you commit a crime, I'm not going to do anything to bring you to justice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything to turn you in. I'm not going to testify against you.
Yeah. Not long ago, I went to a protest here for a couple by the name of the Tuttles. I'm not sure if y'all heard about this in Houston, where they did a no-knock home invasion, and based on some, basically the officers involved made their own. Well, they got a warrant, but they got it under a false premise. So they went to the judge and got this warrant under false pretense. Without going into all the details about this, so this was a white couple, happened to be a couple, but the thing is, it took so long to prosecute the officers involved. When you see a direct cover-up, these officers have been charged at this point, and they see that there was a direct cover-up by the officers themselves. So that falls right in line with what you're talking about this blue shield idea of protecting your fellow officers. Look, listen, a person has to have some decency and integrity and say, look, I know I'm a part of this organization, but I do not agree with what's going on here. And be able to say, look, I want no part of this, whatsoever.
And it even gets deeper than that. Even as horrible as these things are, it can even get deeper than that. I know this for a fact. You talk about like the drug trade and guns being brought into the cities and brought into certain neighborhoods. That cannot happen without the cooperation of law enforcement.
Yeah.
There was a reporter in San Jose, California, who did I can't remember his name at the moment, but he did an expose. It was very famous. He even made a movie about his life, and he wrote a book about this, where he was speaking about the Iran-Contra affair and about the FBI and the CIA allowing drugs to come up from South America into LA and then spread out across the nation. And they knew that there were these people who were actually selling the drugs to people in the inner city were CIA assets.
Oh, sure.
From the CIA to the FBI to the sheriff to the state police, people either turn their backs or they're actively involved in it. Here I live in Detroit. There's multiple times this has happened, and you can look this up and verify it for yourself, where they caught shipments of cocaine and other drugs coming in on private planes into the airports in Detroit, and then the shipments being loaded up on trucks and being escorted into the city by the police.
Brother, and this is, listen, alhamdulillah, I'm glad you brought this up, because this is no different than what they've done to the natives. They found what worked throughout history with the natives in particular, where they have basically purposely fed them alcohol, right? Okay, so they infest their population with smallpox, kill off genocide, they kill off all the natives, and then round them up on reservations. And then what do? Even to this very day, I've seen it myself in Gallup, New Mexico. When I was in Gallup, New Mexico, where the natives there, nothing against the natives, but they have been fed alcohol, they've been fed poison, and we know this happens in the black community, especially where they're shipping in these drugs. There's a liquor store on every corner. They're feeding the process. They know exactly what they're doing. And what have they done? They took that tactic that was utilized against the natives, and they have perfected it, alhamdulillah. And they continue to perfect it. And it's something that the common man is just so busy trying to pay his bills that he doesn't get caught up in the conspiracy and the agendas that are set forth by the people in power. What are they trying to do? They're trying to keep the power. Look at this sign on the screen right here, which says, "Make racists afraid again." Well, that sign is actually incorrect, because the racists themselves, they're always afraid. They're always afraid. They're afraid of losing their power. They're afraid of the people over there. They're afraid of the dark-skinned people. They're afraid of the people trying to come over at the border in Mexico and Texas, simply trying to come in like the European settlers did, and trying to make a better life for themselves, and trying to, So the point being that these tactics have been utilized over and over and over again. And they've been perfected. They're still being utilized. But Joe Blow, that's just trying to pay his bills, he's just blind to it, because he's just caught up in his own little small world, and doesn't look at these things on a mass scale. I mean, obviously there's people out there that know these things are going on, but what can the individual do? What can the individual do? We have to come together collectively and say, let's work towards addressing these points, and let's not pretend that these issues don't exist. When we see these issues all the time, they're in plain sight, but people just turn a blind eye to them. Brother Abu Bakr.
Another thing I saw, brother, I saw someone make a comment on a video. I said, "Wow." Commenting on some of the tactics that the police are using against the protesters. And he was saying the tactics that they're using. He named one of the tactics was called corralling.
Mm-hmm.
He said they learned that from the Israelis, from Assad. And their contracts to have Assad agents and police from Israel come into America to train American police and their own tactics that they use against the people of Philistine. That's deep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, Abu Bakr.
Good. Brother Abu Bakr Rollins. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Are you there? I see he turned his camera off. He might have stepped away for a second. But Abu Bakr, make sure you unmute yourself if you are listening right now. You have to unmute yourself. I'm trying to unmute you, but you have to unmute yourself on your side as well. But yeah, these are things that have been transpiring for decades. And at one point when I got out of the vehicle yesterday, assalamu alaikum, brother Abu Bakr. Can't hear him right now for some reason. He went out. Maybe he have to come back in. At one point, when I got out of the vehicle yesterday to join the protest, there was so many people walking down the street right there in downtown Houston. I live right here in downtown Houston, basically, but there was so many people that at one point as I was walking, I felt like crying. And the reason being is because I thought, this is beautiful right here. These people are coming together, people of all different races and nationalities, all these different types of people coming to stand together for a just cause. Okay, that was at the beginning because I know what my intentions were. I was like, I can't just if I don't go and protest, I feel like I'm not doing something that I've got to go protest because it's just part of who I am. But But we have to gauge our intentions and say, okay, what am I trying to accomplish here? Am I trying to stand up against an injustice, or am I being unjust myself? And so, in regards to, I understand the frustration that people are experiencing, and the anger that's after seeing all this happen over and over and over again. But we have to have a balance there. We have to say, okay, this injustice has happened numerous times. We have a right to be angry, but we need to make sure that we're going to the people that are responsible and not just going to random businesses. And one lady, like I was mentioning earlier, she wanted to go to the Galleria. Everyone marched to the Galleria and just tear the Galleria up. She was yelling this at the top of her lungs, trying to get people and instigate people into doing this. And then I've seen headlines today where they're actually talking about people that are being paid to instigate, right?
Yes.
They're being paid to instigate, which we know this happens. We know that there's anytime there's a major event happen, we know that I forgot what these people are referred to. There's a name for it, but these are people that are actually paid to go and make certain types of comments to mislead people. So before we bring on Brother Abu Bakr, let me make sure he's added to the stream. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Abu Bakr.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you today, brother?
Assalamu alaikum, Maki.
Okay, so let me make one statement before we get to Brother Abu Bakr, because one thing. So we know that there's people that are actually paid to actually antagonize and actually try to get the people riled up, right? And then on the flip side of that, also seen a headline today. Remember, I wrote the book, Consider Islam Disproving what? The Patriots of Propaganda. And so I seen a headline that Trump made today, and I don't remember exactly what the quote was, but it's saying basically that when he was inside of the White House, that he wasn't afraid at all of the protesters. As a matter of fact, he said the MAGA protesters, that he heard that they were on their way today.
He said no. The Twitter post. He said something about. I think the MAGA will be here tonight.
Yeah,
question mark.
Right. They're here tonight, and he says, and he goes on to say, and I heard that there's going to be a lot of the MAGA guys here tonight. Now, to me, what I'm thinking is that okay, maybe there are people that are organizing to do that. Could be, and it could also be that he knows what it takes in order to reach those people. So if I'm a MAGA supporter, I'm a supporter of Trump, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a Republican, I'm a person that draws a dividing line and wants to build walls of division instead of bridges of understanding and bridges of bridges of understanding. Quite simply, if I'm that type of person, I hear the president of the United States, who I look up to, so make America great again, shenanigans. If I see that, some of those people are going to see that and think, "Well, I want to be there too." And now a situation could be that this situation, no one was actually organizing to be there with MAGA. Maybe they were, maybe they were not. But it's also a call to arms, an indirect call to arms from the president, telling the people that support him to come to the White House. There's people outside protesting against our way of life, the way we think. Now you come and protest against them, violence upon violence, right? People, basically a civil war within the United States, dividing lines.
You got to think about it, bro. Think about it, bro. Why would he need the MAGA people? He has the CIA, the FBI, and the Army.
Yeah, I mean, it's foolish.
He needs MAGA? No, of course not.
He also made mention of dogs, that the dogs would be set out. And I seen that one reporter took that very offensively and attributed that to the dogs that were utilized in the civil rights movement, just eating up dog. We've seen the videos, right? Time and time again, the dogs just attacking women and children and just people that are protesting peacefully and being attacked by the dogs. Water hoses being sprayed at them. Tear gas, all kind of nonsense. It is aggravating.
It's a failure in America on every single level. It's a political failure. Look at the failure of this two-party system that we have. Yeah. Clearly, this Democrat versus Republican thing, has caused so much division and marginalization, where you have these people who have these strong ideologies on each side, demonizing each other and going at each other's head, and it doesn't produce anything of benefit for the average everyday person who goes to work and pay taxes.
That's right.
You have a president now who's making these he's just making these stupid and ridiculous statements without any responsibility. He's not a leader. He's some type of Manchurian candidate, but he is not a leader. No.
And he's doing actually the exact opposite of what he should be doing. He should be saying, "All right, people, let's calm down. Let's be peaceful." No, he's an instigator of the whole ordeal. An instigator. I just simply cannot believe. I knew in 2016 when I found out he was running, I knew that this was going to mean trouble, because this man is poison. There's no question about it. Is he a bigot? Yes. Is he prejudiced? Yes. Is he a rich politician? Absolutely. Did he buy his way into office? Obviously he did. And I predict that come November, he'll be reelected. He'll be reelected. And I say that clear. I believe that he'll be reelected despite the poison that he's injecting into the society, and then claiming that America's this and that, and it's just complete and utter hypocrisy.
If that happens, then you're going to see there's going to be a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, I think the trouble's on the way.
There's going to be a lot of trouble.
If all the people listen, if all the people that are protesting right now, if they would actually vote, some of the places were so close that I mean, the problem is that we got to get out and we have to vote. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
Brother Abu Bakr, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep you. I got wound up there with what I was saying, and I didn't mean to keep you on hold there longer than you needed to be. Matter of fact, let me change the screen, that way we can see the brother. We can't see him right now. How you doing, brother?
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Yeah, we had a protest in downtown Miami today. Seeking justice for Floyd, and it was Muslims, the Islamic Circle of North America, as well as the South Florida Muslim Federation, and we got out and we did our thing, man. We partnered with Dream Defenders, and and then right after ours was Black Lives Matter. Went and did theirs along with Dream Defenders. So we had a peaceful, protest today. We let people know exactly what the Muslim position is.
That's right.
And provided a solution,
to
the problem, and not just, everybody's reacting. And I understand, how can you not react when you see, a man be, murdered in a terrific way, and by a killer that felt that he was authorized to execute the death penalty.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we have a criminal justice system that allows for police officers to administer the death penalty without arrest, trial, jury, prosecution, none of that. They can take matters into their own hand, and then who do they go to get prosecuted? They got to go back right to the same criminal justice system that they came from to get prosecuted, and that's not going to happen.
No.
So we need a total and complete overhaul of the criminal justice system, and I propose a strategy. Today for the media, I gave a 3-pronged strategy on how we can achieve a reformed criminal justice system. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I was protesting myself on Friday, and I seen, some people that were there that were obviously trying to be peaceful. I mean, obviously we should protest. We got to stand up against injustices. We have to do that as Muslims. That's part of our deen. That's part of what we do. But as Muslims, of course, we know that we have to have. There's got to be a balance there. So I mentioned earlier, Allah says in the Quran to fight those who first fight you, run them out of places they run you out of. But if at any point they stop their aggression towards you, you stop so that you never become those who oppress. So obviously going through these cities that have nothing really to do with that particular incident and just destroying everything just is insanity, just chaos. It's anarchy. But I understand people's frustration as well. So I was pleased to see some people that were just simply trying to protest peacefully. But there was other antagonists out there, and you can hear them. You can hear them in the distance, and they're making comments. Like I mentioned earlier, one lady in particular talking about, let's march to the gallery and tear it down. It's like, okay, well, what good is that going to do? What's that going to accomplish? Another black man will be killed tomorrow. What does the Galleria have to do with it? So it's got to be handled with care, and it's got to be handled with civility. And not just, if the police are at these protests and they begin to attack the crowd unjustly, then I can see the crowd responding in the light. And I'm not encouraging that by no means. So please don't anyone misunderstand what I'm saying. Hopefully I'm saying this clearly. If the police are unjustly dealing with the protesters, which does happen, and then the protesters react, I can understand that, but for simply just going to a random police car and flipping it over, tearing it to pieces, catching it on fire, going to businesses of people that are just have nothing to do with the matter and tearing up their businesses and burning them down and all those things. I mean, that's complete and utter insanity. So,
and the people who sit at the top and benefit from the injustice that happens, they don't mind people going out and doing that because, for one, you burn my building down, I got an insurance policy or whatever.
Yeah.
But two, they know you're going to get out there, you're going to burn stuff down, you're going to get real angry, and as time goes past, it'll slow down, it'll dissipate, and then things will go right back to the way they were before.
Absolutely. The people eventually get tired of being out there on the street. Matter of fact, this is the 6th night in a row that these protests have been transpiring, right? And eventually, people they're going to get tired. They're going to give up eventually. But it's going to go right back to the same system. They'll still be able to say this certain group that's the bad guys, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. So it's got to be held with civility. I'm interested in the three prong or the 3-stage strategy that you mentioned, Abu Bakr. Is it something you got to go in a lot of detail about, or can you just give us a synopsis of what you suggested?
Yeah, what I propose is that the Muslim national Muslim organizations, they engage on a listening tour where they convene study circles. We go into the communities, go into the prisons, go into the jails, and basically ask 4 different questions. What has your experience been with law enforcement in this country? What constitutes privilege? What constitutes disadvantage? And how should we as a country move forward? and take that listening tour to all the major cities and some of the small cities around America, and let's do a qualitative analysis of where we are. So we have a baseline of data and information, because right now we just get a lot of tweets and posts and whatnot from people that may have a lot of followers and whatnot, and things may go viral. But let's get some hardcore data that people are experiencing on the street. Number two, as we do that, we build alliances. We build alliances with people that have empathy for the victims of this brutal criminal justice system. And so as we build these alliances, and that is with Muslim groups and non-Muslim groups, it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you have empathy for the victims of this brutal criminal justice system, let's partner together and let's build an alliance. And then finally, we then take it to the U.S. Department of Justice. Say, okay, we've gotten our data, and we have a critical mass of citizens and non-citizens, that are here in America. Now let's do an objective empirical analysis of policing in America from its origins and to its current policies and practices, based on facts that results in the development and implementation of a strategic plan that serves as a catalyst for a paradigm shift in how public safety is achieved and how broken communities can heal in a trauma-informed way. And that we want that plan to be reviewed continually and to be updated. Like right now, for example, in Miami, I'm the project manager for the Miami-Dade County Anti-Violence Initiative. We have 10 street outreach workers and 6 case managers. So when there's a conflict, we dispose credible messengers, people that came out of the street, people that, used to be into thug life, and they going out in the community, they're diffusing the conflict. And then police, they do what they got to do too, but we're able to reach the people because we are the people. We come from people. So there's a whole new paradigm that has to take place. Resources. We said that we got all these resources to help people and all that, but people don't know how to get to the resource. They don't even know where the resources are. So we have walk-in one-stop. We take the services right to their doorstep. So we have to think about a whole new different paradigm on how public safety is achieved in our community. And we have to take some ownership of it. So that's the 3-pronged strategy. One, do a qualitative analysis. Just listen to people. Regular, everyday people, not gatekeepers, not your Urban League, NAACP, whatever. They're fine. They got their own platform, but we need the people on the ground. We need the people that are experiencing the everyday abuses and brutal assaults of our criminal justice system. We need to talk to them in the prisons. We need to talk to them in the jails. And secondly, then we need to build alliances. So it's not just Abu Bakr, talking, or Kenny talking. It is now you're talking about a coalition, an alliance of millions of people that are represented. And then let's say, okay, Justice Department, now y'all got the data, you got the history, you got the facts. Let's sit down, let's analyze it from how policing first started, because policing, it all started to control this now free slaves, right? Okay, right. So let's go to its origin. Let's look at our current practices and see, first of all, are we still dealing in a Jim Crow environment, or has things really changed? And now how do we move forward, from there to get to a place where, like I'm talking about, where the community takes more responsibility over public safety through outreach workers, credible messengers, bringing the services right to the people's door. So this is the 3-pronged strategy.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Sounds absolutely needs to be implemented. No question about it. There's an interesting question in the chat by Mindy Domer, and she says, "How would Islam help politics and policies, though? The U.S. is a secular country." So, Brother Abu Yazid and Brother Abu Bakr, Brother Marshall, I'm sure all you gentlemen would like to comment on this, inshallah.
There's no such thing, Kenny, as a secular country.
Yeah.
You can't separate Islam from life. Islam is a total way of life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told the human being how he's to live his life. And he gave us the Sharia, which regulates everything that we do. And so there is no separation from a secular country. Right is right, wrong is wrong, just is just, and if it's not just, it's not just. So you can't separate the secular and non-secular. It's all Islam.
Yeah,
Now,
and
if you choose to accept or you choose not to believe that, then that's between you and your Lord and our Lord. But
yeah.
Allah has already set the standard, the criterion. The criterion is the Quran and the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Right, and part of that I mentioned earlier that Allah says in the Quran, it says to fight those. This is an example of Mindy Bomer and anyone who's listening. This is Sharia. What I'm about to say is Sharia. So a lot of times people, matter of fact, to talk about this whole idea of sneaking Sharia in my book, and people when they hear Sharia, they think a vast array of different things. But let's make it simple. This is Sharia. What I'm about to say, Allah says in the Quran, our Creator says in the Quran, and this Mindy is actually an atheist, so she has a different issue. But just to answer your question, Mindy, Allah says in the Quran, I've already mentioned it 3 or 4 times during this show, but it's important because this right here is the Sharia. What I'm about to say is the answer. Okay, so it says to fight those who first fight you. Okay, so that's a self-defense. That's a self-defense posture. Fight those who first fight you and run them out of places where they have first run you out of. So if someone comes invade your home or they come to take over your land or whatever, you have a right to defend your land, your property, your people. Fight those who first fight you, run them out of places where they have first run you out of. But if at any point they stop their aggression towards you, you stop your aggression towards them so that you never become those who oppress. That's Sharia, alhamdulillah. Just one example. Following the laws of the land, doing what's right, not just for the individual, but for the masses, for the society as a whole. That's Islam. Islam truly, 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 alhamdulillah, has a complete and comprehensive answer for each one of these issues that we're facing. I was talking about that with Mika earlier today. The Islam is the answer for all of this. If there were Muslims, like the brother said, you got together with other Muslims and y'all protested peacefully, set the example of how protests are supposed to be engaged in. And, so if as Muslims, we know that there has to be a balance there. So we fight against the oppression, but we do so peacefully unless it becomes violent. Then if it becomes violent, then we have a right to respond. But if someone slaps me once, I can't slap them twice. I can only slap them back once. Okay, and that's a hard thing not to do. But that's what being a Muslim is all about. You have a right to defend yourself, defend your land, defend your property, defend your community, but don't transgress the bounds. And so that's Sharia. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm Abu Bakr. As being an expert in the prison reentry program in the prisons, can you speak a little bit how they use prison as a form of slavery, as a form of
let's get brother. I want to get brother Abu Yazid's answer to this particular question that Mindy has presented.
Okay, no.
And you too as well for that matter. But I want to address her question as thoroughly as possible before we get to something else. Brother Abu Yazid.
Yeah. So America is a republic, a representative government. There's nothing in the Constitution that says America is a secular country. When you compare America to Europe and European countries, America is a very religious and spiritual place compared to the attitudes that you see over in Europe, where secular humanism is a little bit more stringent than it is here in America. So as a representative government, the government is supposed to reflect the thoughts and the will and the dictates of the people. Muslims live here. Muslims are citizens here. And Muslims have been here since the country was founded. Before the foundation of the country, Muslims were here. Muslims have always been here and Muslims will always be here. So number one, as citizens, as a citizen, my voice is allowed to be heard. My vote is to be counted. I have a say-so in how I want my local government to be ran, how I want my school district to be ran, how I want the police to conduct themselves, who I want to be the president, the governor, the county, the commissioner of the county, or who gets to be the senator or in the Congress. I have a say-so in how the economy is ran, foreign policy, just like any other American citizen. I have a constitutional guarantee that allows me free speech, free assembly, constitutional rights that the state cannot infringe upon my religious rights. I am Muslim, so I can influence the society. I can use whatever I have that's lawful to influence the society with the ideals of Islam from the Quran and the Sunnah, the final revelations to man to guide mankind, as the two brothers have already set forward. One of the most influential Americans in history, Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, as he's well known as, said that Islam had the solutions to the problems in America. And you can hard pressed to find another human being who influenced America on the same level as Malik al-Shabazz, and another human being who caused millions of people to enter into Islam because of his influence that he had in the social and racial affairs of America. So that's a blueprint right there. When you look at brothers like Malik Shabazz, brothers like Muhammad Ali, and others who showed you plainly how Muslims can influence America in the direction of America.
That's right. Alhamdulillah. Brother Marshall, would you like to comment on this?
I mean, if in our reality, some of the Constitution is based on Islam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just based on the Sharia already. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's kind of hard to say, you know, it's kind of hard to follow the Constitution when it says power to the people. How come it took to the 60s before also man? It says power to the people. How come it took the 1960s before all man was so-called equal? You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
You know, as a Muslim, we have to follow the laws of the land until they go against the Quran.
And where were the atheists and the secular humanists in America and Europe when the black man had a foot on top of his neck for 400 years?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
hopefully we answered that question. You know, there's so much we could say about that issue. It's obviously it's you know, this whole Sharia issue and the whole anti-Islam thing is done a great injustice towards the fact that what we're trying to stress here is that people who know Islam know that Islam has the answer for literally everything that we face, and it's you know, it's just a reality. You have to be willing to sit down and actually listen and see how much it makes sense. It's not only just for certain groups of people; it's for all people. Alhamdulillah, it's the answer for all people. And I can't say that the same thing about any other religion. I don't even like referring to Islam as a religion, way of life, but any other religion out there, I don't see the same balance there by no means. And there's so many things we can talk about this, but alhamdulillah. So, Brother Marshall, you asked Brother Abu Bakr a question. I don't remember what it was a second ago.
He's an expert in the prison system. He studied it for years. He wrote the prison entry program that's implemented at the highest level of government. Abu Bakr, would you like to explain about how they use the prison system as a means as modern day slavery, modern day to take people's rights away, to suppress the voting?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in 1850, around 1850, when the 13th Amendment was enacted, there was the slaves were so-called freed, right? So the 13th Amendment, however, said that yes, you're free unless you are incarcerated. If you're a prisoner, then you're basically still enslaved. You work for free. You can't do what you want. You can't go where you want. You're in prison. And so in Florida, where I am, since that time until just this past weekend, not this weekend, but the weekend before, a federal judge finally said that if you are a ex-felon and you've done your time, you can now have the right to vote carte blanche. So, you know, I know everybody's worried about Trump getting another 4 years. Ain't gonna happen, because he got to come through Florida to win. And we just got approval for 1.4 million ex-felons the right to vote, regardless of fees and fines. And we're mobilizing Desmond Meade with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, who is a partner with us in this. And we're mobilizing the ex-felons to get registered. We already have about 500,000 that have already registered. And we got about another about 900,000 more to go. And we cover the gap. You know, Trump only won Florida by a few thousand, I think it was like 30,000 votes. So it's over, game over. It's a game changer. You got to come through Florida if you want to get to the White House, and that ain't going to happen. So at any rate, going back to the question that Musa Marshall Gregory was saying about how we the slavery and the prison system, it's the same thing. What's the difference? What's the difference? In Florida, there was a guy that he was misbehaving, right? In the dorm. In the dorm, they put 75 men, healthy men, all men, in a dorm, you know, and guarded by two guards, right? So there's one that's misbehaving, and so they put him in the shower. And they turn up the shower to 220 degrees, and they leave him in there until his skin starts coming off his bones. You know, so just think about some of the things that happened to the American descendants of slavery while we were under slavery. You see how they behave and treat each other. And I'm talking about the European that came from the wretched from Europe that came to America to try and establish the new world. You see how they treat each other. Imagine how they would treat someone that they considered was property. So the same thing happens in the prison system, and we see it on the street. You know, with what happened with George Floyd. You know, I mean, how in the world can you be a police officer and know that everybody is watching you on camera, and then you're just going to sit there and you're just going to say, okay, I have the authority to administer the death penalty. Yeah. And they do. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if that man walked.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. And you mentioned something about the voting process and the fact that, you know, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but because of the Electoral College, I think Brother Mukeet Khan made a comment about it earlier as far as the Electoral College, the fact that, and Mika mentioned it a second ago as well, that despite the people voting for their candidate, and despite the common man's vote, the Electoral College is still going to vote in who they want to. And I predict Trump is going to be reelected. Despite what the people are wanting, I believe the man's still going to be reelected. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
But the problem is, even if he's not reelected, who's the other choice? Biden? Is Biden for the people?
Yeah.
Is Biden some champion of the people, or the common man, or the poor man? Is he a champion for African Americans?
By no means, right?
Bull Baca Wayne's 2020.
Yeah.
So you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. That's the way that a lot of people feel at this moment.
Notice this comment here, the question here, that I am Mo to men, whatever that is, says, Kenny Bomer, do you think the USA is heading for civil war? I say the USA has been in civil war from the very beginning. There's been civil war since the European settlers came over and started taking the land from the natives. The United States have been in a constant civil war. It's us against them. It's those people over there against us over here. It's constant. Like it's been like that from the very beginning. I encourage people to read the book, The Theories of Yaqub, which goes into population control and how the people of power have utilized their resources to control the masses. And what are they doing? Just the very thing that we're talking about, the divide that's always there, where a small percentage of the people in power are calling the shots, and they're creating boundaries and walls of division between, you know, various groups of people. Not only do they set themselves apart as the quote unquote upper crust, right? But they also create boundaries amongst the commoners. And so you go to the Christian churches on Sunday morning, and you see clearly black church and a white church and Hispanic church. There's boundaries there. There's boundaries in the cities themselves. Every large city in the United States, you can see the dividing lines right there. There's always civil war. It's civil war. Maybe it's not covert or openly violent, but it's covertly violent, We see, like these brothers have been mentioning, we see the violence whenever you go through the black community. It has nothing to do with the black community itself, but the fact that, you go to the black community, you see liquor stores on every corner. Like Brother Abu Yazid mentioned, drugs and things being shipped into those communities, right? So these are acts of war. No question about it. This is a civil war that has not stopped from the very beginning. It's been this country was built on civil war, and yes, are we still in civil war? Absolutely. You brothers want to comment on this?
Yeah. Let me comment on that. I can give you a clear example that anyone can research for themselves. There's a street called 8 Mile Road. You may have heard of it because of the movie by Eminem called 8 Mile. It is the northern border of Detroit. It divides the Detroit, which is Wayne County, from the north, which is Oakland County. Now, don't look this up for yourself. Detroit is one of the most impoverished cities in the United States of America, as far as one of the most impoverished major cities. Oakland County is one of the top 10 most wealthy counties in America, and it's divided by this one street.
Wow!
So you go south of the street. You don't even have to drive that. You walk south of 8 Mile. You'll see absolute poverty.
Yeah.
And urban decay, drugs, liquor. 8 Mile Road is up and down 8 Mile Road is liquor stores, weed shops, elaborate, gigantic strip clubs. They look like churches.
Yeah.
Strip clubs, and they're built for suburbanites. So people in the north in Oakland County can come down to 8 Mile Road and get liquor, prostitutes, strippers, and alcohol, while black people have to sit there and just let it happen. There's no respect for black people. There's no respect for black children.
Right.
You would have never allowed this into your neighborhood. You wouldn't allow your child to have to walk past this in order to go to school, but you don't care if black children do it.
And brother, you were talking about major cities right now. Obviously, Detroit. We see the same boundaries here in Houston. No question about it. Every major city has that. But even the small towns. Not too long ago, me and Mika laugh about this. Obviously, my wife is a black woman, and I told her a story about what happened to me in a small town, Bay City, Texas, about an hour from here. I was over there one night and I needed to get some gas, and asked a gentleman, "Hey, where's it's a smaller town, right?" And I asked the gentleman, a white man, where can I go get some gas? Because all the stations around here are closed. And he says, "Well, there's another store down the road." And he says, "But I don't know if you want to go there." And there was some other guys around that happened to be black. And he looks around a minute and he says, "I don't know if you want to go there because it's a black town." So I don't know if you just heard what I said. Did you hear what I said? He said, "I don't know if you want to go down there because it's black town." So, I mean, are you kidding me? I said, "Yeah, I grew up in Trinity Gardens here in Houston. I grew up in Blacktown. I was a part of the hip hop scene. I've signed 2 record deals in my life. I've been around blacks all my life. But this white man talking to another white man is telling me that he doesn't know if I want to go over there because that's Blacktown." Okay, in a smaller town, right? And so the dividing lines are there. The Civil War is there, whether it's open combat or it's things that are happening behind the scenes. I mean,
that just illustrates that things have not changed; they just got more sophisticated. So,
what'd you say, brother?
The black codes, green segregation, it didn't stop. It just changed. It just morphed.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. And I think it was Malcolm X that did say that Sunday, I'm not sure if this was his quote, but someone said the most segregated day in America is Sunday morning, right? Who said that? I'm sure you brothers probably know who made this comment. I have to look it up if need be. I think it was Malcolm X, but I could be wrong about that. But the most segregated day of the week is Sunday morning. Why? Because we see the clear dividing lines, and this doesn't mean obviously it's 2020, so we do see a trickle of different races here and there, but we see clear cut division, and if that's not civil war, that's why it touched me. Yeah, I mentioned on Friday when I was going to the protest, when I initially started in the protest, it touched me to the point that I wanted to cry about the matter, because I'm thinking, Alhamdulillah, these people of various races and places are coming to protest against the death of this black man, right? That's what I'm there for, and so that touches me, right, on an emotional level, right? I think that's beautiful, right? But at the same time, the division is there, and obviously, these are younger people. Things are changing. The complexity is changing a bit. Obviously, I'm sitting in my home with my wife of a different race, alhamdulillah. So there's some changes there, but are the dividing lines still there? Absolutely, absolutely. And man, it takes courage to step out of that nonsense and say, willing to say something's wrong here, and then to address it. Brother Abu Bakr has this 3-step process, and alhamdulillah, I'm sure absolutely it'll work. We got to find a way to implement this and make these changes happen peacefully, inshallah.
And we need changes in the mosque, also, in the masjid also.
I agree.
I think some of this is exposing some dividing lines within the community itself. There was a video someone posted, very disturbing, of a brother of a certain nationality making some very horrible comments, saying basically, I don't care about this guy who got killed. I don't care about. I care more about the sunnah. What's the sunnah of using the miswak than I care about this man dying.
Brother, hold on now. Let me wrap my mind around this right quick. Brother, tell me that again. What did you say?
It was a supposed student of knowledge that was on a broadcast. It's circulating on Facebook. He's from he's from the Somali community. Basically saying he doesn't care about the rioting. He doesn't care about what happened to Mr. George. He cares more about what's the proper sunnah of using a miswak than about that man dying.
Oh my goodness gracious! You're gonna have to contact me privately and let me know who in the world said such a.
I'll find it and send it to you.
Yeah, please send that to me, brother.
Yeah, so there's some tribalism going on in some of our Islamic organizations in America, and
the thing that comes to my mind that aggravates me to no end. Would he make the same statement if that was Bilal? May Allah be pleased. Would he make the same statement about the one who called the Adhan for the first time? Would he make the same statement about if thing happened to Bilal? What kind of nonsense? That's disgusting to hear another Muslim say that. Islam breaks down, is supposed to retransform and make things better for everyone in society. Standing beside your brother from different nations and different races and all those things. That's the Islam I believe in. That's the Islam I follow. If I hear a Muslim say something like that, there's going to be some issues between that brother and I, because that's disgusting to say. I can't believe if he's doing, especially doing it on a mass scale. There's a video out there. You're telling me there's a video out there with him saying that?
It's a video.
Oh my goodness!
Him making these statements. And this is a student. This is supposed to be a imam or a student of knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's the unfortunate thing. We have to, for people listening out there, people who may be non-Muslims. Obviously, you don't judge Islam based on what people do. Understand Islam, what Islam is teaching people to do, the guidance that it's giving people. People don't always follow it properly.
Exactly. Islam is a state of being.
Yeah.
Islam is a religion, if you want to use that word, and Islam is also a state of being. Just because you ascribe to the religion of Islam doesn't mean you're in a state of Islam. And to be in a state of Islam is to be in submission
Yeah,
creating heaven and earth.
absolutely. And it doesn't mean you're not going to make some mistakes along the way. Obviously, we're going to make mistakes along the way. Sometimes we're going to say things that we're taken back. But the fact of the matter is that Islam, if followed properly, it's going to answer all of these issues. So it's aggravating for me because I'm such a passionately want to tell people about Islam, and to hear anything against it, going against the grain of that, even from Muslims, is something that, yeah, and maybe I'm not passing judgment on anyone. Maybe I'm sure I do things that may Allah forgive me, that isn't representing Islam in the best of manners. Okay, we're going to make mistakes, but there's some fundamentals there that certain things that a Muslim should know better than to make that type of statement. I'm so disgusted by what you told us tonight.
I would just love to ask that person, do you think that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if somehow he could see that happening, that man dying, if he saw that video, you think he would say what you said? You think he would have the
Brother, send me whoever that is. I'm going to contact this individual, and I'm going to try to address the issue. Yeah, that's disgusting.
What comes to the mind thinking about that is a time when when Rasulullah Salam was sitting and a funeral passed in front of him. He stood up. Everyone else remained seated. Rasulullah told him to stand up. And one of the persons said, "Don't you know that's a Jew?" And Prophet Muhammad Salam said one thing: "Is he not a human being?"
That's right. So it was Martin Luther King that made the thank you, Brother Mukit Khan. Brother Mukit Khan also, alhamdulillah, says that Bilal is our brother in the deen. He's the best of us, regardless of his color of his skin. Taqwa is what distinguishes men from the boys. That's right, alhamdulillah. So he also says that it was Martin Luther King that actually made the statement. I knew it was someone in the civil rights. I thought it was Malcolm X, but alhamdulillah, Martin Luther King says, "It is appalling that the most segregated hour of Christian America is 11 o'clock on Sunday morning." And this is obviously, Brother Martin Luther King was a Christian himself. And so obviously, just a number of years ago, we're only in 2020. In the 60s, people were still fighting for civil rights. And it's just, yeah. So going back to the original question, which was, do we think that America's headed for a civil war? We've never been out of a civil war. Wars are fought on various fronts, sometimes covertly, sometimes by snipers in the distance, sometimes on the shoreline.
War when you have a war on drugs.
Yeah.
Look, the war. When was the war on drugs declared by Nixon? I think it was 71. 71. That was immediately after the close of the Black Power movement, or the destruction of the Black Power movement by COINTELPRO.
Yeah.
So it's tied together. It's all tied together. It's tied in even with Nixon deciding to take America off the gold standard. A lot of things you can research to see how things were used to destabilize people, to shock the nation, to make people stay in their place, to make sure we can have control over the population.
Yeah, absolutely. So the brother that asked the question, he says, "Good to know I'm not going there then." Well, alhamdulillah, there's some good things about the United States, but there's also a lot of hypocrisy here. I say it's land of the free. They say that it's land of the free, home of the brave. I say it's land stolen from the natives and built by the black slave.
I ask people, I said, "Do you know why it's called the home of the land of the free, the home of the brave?" They say, "Why?" I say, "Because it's stolen from the Native Americans and never paid for, and the Native Americans fought so brave to keep the way of life."
That's right. And let me make sure that no one misunderstands what we're saying here. Obviously, there's a bunch of Muslims saying things that could be misconstrued. I'm proud to be an American Muslim, alhamdulillah. I am proud to be an American Muslim, but I'm also, we're taught as Muslims to speak out and tell the truth, even if it's against our own selves. And so we have to be honest. We have to say, okay, look, obviously, 400 years of slavery, blacks still being incarcerated on mass levels, black men being slaughtered in the streets like animals. We have to be willing to look at these injustices and speak out against those things. So this is not a bunch of Muslims on the panel just speaking out against the United States. That's not what we're doing here.
Now, there's nothing anti-American about it, because if the Bill of Rights and the Constitution were upheld based on the letter of what they say, then we wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah. Brother Abu Bakr, you thought about something. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, basically, what we heard about the so-called Muslim that said he was more concerned about miswak, that's ridiculous. I mean, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his last khutbah, he said that the Arab has no superiority over the non-Arab, and the non-Arab has no superiority over the Arab, and the white has no superiority over the black, and the black has no superiority over the white, except for in piety and good deeds.
That's right.
This is Islam. This is our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also, the killing of one unjustly is like the killing of all of humanity. This is our Prophet. This is Islam. So this nonsense that we're hearing about somebody being more concerned with miswak, I take that in the court of Allah on Judgment Day and see how far he's going to get with that.
Right.
We shouldn't even entertain that nonsense and foolishness. Has no place in this deen whatsoever. Obviously, that person is either ignorant to the deen or is totally lost their mind.
Yeah, I mean it's so absurd to hear someone, especially obviously making videos, no telling who's going to see it. The ugly mark that it's going to give Islam for anyone who hears this. My goodness, is the man thinking? I mean, it's just pure nonsense. Brother Mukit Khan, I see you want me to play this video. If you could, please send it to me on Facebook, because when you send it in the chat there, there's no way for me to copy and paste it, and it's too long for me to type it into the browser. So if you could, inshallah, send it to me on Facebook, and I'll copy it from there, and I'll play it, inshallah. So yeah, I mean, I cannot believe. Matter of fact, I will make a special show. I don't care who it is. As a matter of fact, whoever the brother is, inshallah, let me back up. I'll contact the brother and I'll tell him my concerns. But I'm very upset about that. Very upset about that. How dare you make such a statement at such a delicate period of time? This is obviously everything's history, but this is a historical event. This is a historical event. Nations, cities throughout the nation in uprising, people protesting, people are angry. And Islam that has the answer for this, you have a representative of Islam making such a ridiculous statement. I mean, my goodness, man. Alhamdulillah. So, brother, yes, brother Abu Yazid, please share that link with me privately, and I'm gonna try to address this matter. I find it disgusting. We lost brother Abu Yazid, but so brother Mukit Khan. Okay, let me. He said he sent it to me on Facebook, so let me try to get to that, and we'll play this. Okay. Okay, let me. Yeah, actually, I've seen this. I don't remember what the brother was saying, but exactly. But I've seen this. So, we'll get to that in a second, brother. We lost you there for a second, but please be sure to send me that link to whoever made that comment, inshallah. And people out there listening, if you're non-Muslim, please realize the reason why we're speaking out against that comment so vehemently is because, that's it, right? Is because, or passionately rather, is because it's so against Islam on every level. So
this is the time for dawah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think every Muslim needs to understand that you're going to have your neighbors, you're going to have coworkers if you still have a job, inshallah. You're going to have family members if you're a convert. You're going to have friends. You're going to have strangers at the grocery market. They're going to ask you questions about Islam because when things happen like this, when things become very unstable, the number one thing people look for is some type of connection to God, or however they understand them or conceptualize them. People turn to spirituality, and a lot of people, they know there's something not quite right with Christianity, or they may have been born and raised in it, and they haven't found the answers they're looking for. And since now we're in a time where people are questioning things a lot in Western society, you're going to see people coming up to you asking you questions, and you need to be prepared.
That's right. That's right. And be willing to, if you don't have a good answer, just remain silent. If you don't know how to address these points, just remain silent.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily going to be negative questions.
Yeah.
Just, why are you Muslim? Why are you wearing a hijab? You guys pray 5 times a day. Why do you do that? Things like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me, Kenny?
Yes.
Hey, man, I gotta go. I gotta make my salat maghrib.
Okay, brother. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother. So my screen froze trying to share this video. My screen froze here. So I might have to back out of that here for a second. Can you brothers still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
While you're doing that, one of the things I thought about towards the last 10 days of Ramadan that I want to make a change in my own self. Last year I saw a number of people take Shahada in the masjid near my home. And I didn't really keep up with those people. And during this whole COVID thing and everything that's going around, I don't know where those people are at or what their condition is right now. One of the things that I want to do personally is from here on out to take it upon myself to really keep up with the reverts and converts in my own community, to stay in contact with them, and just offer myself more to be there for them and to help support them.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something we're supposed to do, and try to keep track. And a lot of times people they come and they accept Islam, and then you lose track of those people. And yeah, that's something and I encourage you, brother, to we should all, matter of fact, try to remind one another to do that. I think we, as a ummah, we fall short in that area a lot of times. So I can't get this thing to play, Brother Mukeet Khan. It's actually frozen my screen. I'm still here, but the screen share is frozen, so it's literally stuck, and I can't X out of it, and I can't play it either. So, but let me summarize it. Obviously, I can't show which video it is because the screen share is stuck. But yeah, so I do recall what the video was about. The brother was saying how he's treated in Saudi Arabia versus in the United States. And he's going to say it much more eloquently than I would, because it's his own personal experience. But yeah, Brother Mukeet Khan, I'm sorry I can't play it because my screen is stuck. So maybe, yeah. So it's stuck. But it's about time for the show to end, anyways, brothers. I do appreciate you coming on to discuss this matter, and I do encourage people to tune in tomorrow. The Reasons to Revert segment. We'll be interviewing a revert to Islam. That's every Monday. We have the Reasons to Revert segment. We also have a segment titled Ask a Muslim, where you're welcome to come on and ask us whatever questions you have about Islam, and we'll try to answer those questions, inshallah. Had Brother Ijaz on yesterday. Brothers, did you have the opportunity to watch the debate last night with Brother Ijaz Ahmed and Stephen Atkins? Can you hear me?
What was that?
I was saying, did y'all get a chance to watched the debate last night on the show with
You know what?
Brother.
I had it on my agenda. I'm gonna listen to it tonight. I didn't get a chance to listen because I was
Good.
keeping up with the news and what was going on so much.
Yeah, and as we were speaking, Brother Ijaz actually sent me a message on WhatsApp, and he says, "Would you be willing to host a debate on your channel on the George Floyd issue?" So obviously, I told him absolutely. We're actually discussing the issue right now as we speak. So I'm not sure what he has in mind for that.
Not to cut you off, brother. I got in a conversation with a Christian that Brother Ijaz had a debate with.
About the George Floyd issue?
Yeah. He somebody posted something about I guess in Canada they were having some peaceful protests and saying against anti-black violence, anti-black sentiment. And he made a comment about it being, a Marxist agenda, cultural Marxism, stirring up hatred against Canada and the white man, something like that. And,
do you remember the name of the guy he was talking with?
What's his Stephen? What's his Stephen? The older white guy.
Stephen Atkins.
Atkins, yeah.
So are you saying this happened today? Because that's who he debated yesterday.
I have a screenshot. I think I put a screenshot on my Facebook timeline.
Really? Okay, yeah, that's Stephen Atkins is who he debated yesterday.
Yeah.
Surely Stephen Atkins. No offense to him, but he was. He didn't win that debate by no means.
I'm sure he did.
So surely he doesn't want to debate Ijaz on this issue about the George.
He might be. I laid off into him a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I told him where you can if you don't like it here, you can go back.
Yeah.
Where you came from. Because he made a mistake like if you don't like it, if you don't like Canada, go back to where you came from, something like that. And
really?
Yeah. Why don't you go back?
Yeah. No. So someone is asking me, yes, brother, Motamin, or who? I can't see the thing because my screen is frozen. But yes, if you'd like to speak to me privately, you can contact me privately. You can contact me on Facebook, Kenny Bomer, or Brother Mukit Khan will know how to contact me, inshallah. So yes, you're welcome to contact me privately. You can also send me an email at info@kennybomer.com if you'd like to do that, inshallah. Brother Abu Bakr Rollins, thank you for joining the show today. Brother Abu Yazid, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the show today. It's always good to see you brothers come on. And thank you once again.
Alhamdulillah.
So I guess we're going to go ahead and end the show. I do encourage people to pray for the family of George Floyd. And, we got to, try to keep the peace as much as possible. Obviously, if you're being attacked yourself, we have a right to defend ourselves. But try to be peaceful out there. Encourage people to be peaceful. And I do encourage you to read the Quran yourself. And to, the brother said he doesn't use Facebook. Okay, so send me an email. Surely you have email. So email me at info@kennybomer.com. info@kennybomer.com. And I will respond to you, inshallah, God willing. So I lost my train of thought. But I do want to encourage people to tune in tomorrow to the Reasons to Revert segment. Also, the Ask a Muslim segment that will be coming up this week. Every Sunday, we'll be doing the Sunday Sound Off, which we didn't actually have anyone come on today. We got preoccupied with the George Floyd issue, which is very important, obviously. But, we have big debates coming up. We have Brother Dr. Shabir Ali will be a guest coming up soon. Also, Sheikh Yusuf Estes, Dr. Zakir Naik may be coming on, and also a very popular individual by the name of Mike. I'm not going to tell you his last name right now, but that's in the works. So we may have someone very popular by the name of Mike that will be coming on, inshallah. So I thank everyone for watching. I do ask you to subscribe, like, and share the show with others. Make sure you hit the bell if you're watching on the YouTube channel. If you'd like to help us with the platform, help us to grow the platform, help us for our activities and have water wells built and things that we're trying to do, through the show, please click on the Patreon link and become a patron. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for your intentions. Obviously, we need your prayers first and foremost. So please pray that Allah gives us success and He accepts our efforts to share the truth and the beauty of Islam. So, La ilaha illallah wa shahadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. I bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is His final servant, the seal of all prophets. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.